are you, students? How are you today? Welcome. In our previous lesson in learned behavior, we have seen what learned behavior means. We have defined it. And we have seen the difference between learned behavior and innate behavior. And we have seen some types of learned behavior, like habituation, sensitization, and we have seen some type of associative learning, which is called classical conditioning. And we have left with the second type of associative learning, which is called operant learning. Today we are going to see operant learning and latent learning. Also, we are going to see about insight learning. Are you ready? Very good. Let's proceed. Operant learning or operant conditioning is one of the type of associative learning which is training an animal behavior by associating with consequences. The consequences may be a reward or a punishment. It involves modifying innate behavior by pairing with a previously neutral stimulus. It is the result of trial and error, just like classical conditioning. It is the result of trial and error, but the consequences for every responses or for every behavioral responses may be a reward or a punishment. It is a condition in which animals form association between particular behavior and a result that reinforces the behavior. A reinforce is a stimulus that alters the probability of a behavior being repeated. Operant conditioning, when organisms behave in a such manner, if they are reinforced, they increase the likelihood of the repetition of a response, and if they are punished, they will decrease the likelihood of a response, which is a repetition. So when animals respond in such a way, when they are reinforced, they increase, and when they are punished, they decrease the likelihood of a repetition. Such kind of associative learning is called operant conditioning. The term operant conditioning was first used by B.F. Skinner. He is a behavioral psychologist, and Skinner identified three types of operants. There are three types of operants. The first one is neutral operant, the second one is reinforcer, and the third one punisher. A neutral operant is an operant which neither increases nor decreases the probability of a behavior being repeated. This stimulus or this stimuli, it neither increases nor decreases the probability of the behavior being repeated. That means the organisms with such kind of a stimulus doesn't respond or doesn't modify the natural response to a given stimuli. These neutral operantes are operantes which neither increases nor decreases the probability. The second one are reinforcers. Reinforcers are an operant which increases the probability of the behavior being repeated. Reinforcers can be either positive reinforcers or negative reinforcers. And the third one are punishers. Punishers are operants or stimuli that makes the organism to decrease the probability of the behavior being repeated. If we want to train an organism not to respond to a stimuli, we punish the animal. Then through time, through trial and error, through repetition, it decreases to give response to such kind of stimuli. So such kind of conditions or operants are called punishers. Increasing a response by the organisms is done by reinforcers. When you give a reinforcement for animals, for every activities, for every responses to a given stimuli, the organisms increase the probability of the behavior being repeated. Such kind of operants are called reinforcers. B.F. Skinner, he have made such an experiment on rats. On his experiments, he used different types of stimuli. The first type of stimuli are different colored lights. In his box, B.F. Skinner, in his experiment, he put a rat in a box and he used different lights, the green lights and the red lights. These two lights are associated with the reinforcer and the punisher operants. The green lights is associated with reinforcement and the red lights is associated with punishment. The first stimuli he used is different colored lights. The second one, he used a speaker to deliver sound stimuli. He used a speaker. When a rat touch the lever, if the green lights lit, there is a sound which is associated with the green lights, and there is also sound which is associated with the red lights. The third stimuli he used is an electric grid. There is a mild electric shock when the rats touch the lever when the red lights lit. So in his experiment, he trained or shaped the rats to associate these three types of stimuli: sound, different color lights, electric grid, together with food. When the rats touch the lever, if the green lights lit, they touch the lever. Then together with the green light and touching the lever, the food pellet enters to the box. So food is a reinforcement. When they see the green lights, they touch the lever. Then similarly, the food enters to the box. When they observe or see the red lights, they don't want to touch the lever, because when they touch the lever, there is an electric shock. The consequence is punishment. So the green light is associated with punishments, and the red lights is associated with punishments, which is electric shock, and the green lights is associated with a reinforcement, which is food pellets. So the rats, through time, through experience, through repetition or trial and error, they have developed a new type of behavior, which is associated with reinforcements and punishment. So through time, they are afraid to touch the lever when the red lights lit, and they have repeated touching the lever when the green lights lit. This means they have developed or strengthened such kind of behavior, because green light is always associated with reward, food. So such kind of training of organisms is called operant conditioning, which is association of rewards and punishments to respond to a given stimuli. Is it clear? So different organisms are trained in this way. They are trained in this way. For example, we can take shaping. Shaping is training of animals, or animal trainers use such kind of technique which is based on operant conditioning. And the organisms perform in special ways. Each steps in learning of shaping or operant conditioning is called approximation. There are different approximations for a given response. So through time, through trial and error, through repetitions or through experience, they will develop a new type of behavior. Such kind of behavior is not common for all members of the population. Organisms which are trained in this way will have such kind of behavior, and organisms which are not trained in this way, they do not have such kind of behavior. So learned behavior is one of a type of behavior which is not common for all members of a given species. So we can take different types of examples for shaping. Shaping is, as I have told you before, it is a type of operant conditioning, training organisms to perform in a special way. So, for example, training guide dogs for blind. Guide dogs are trained in the training center by operant learning. So they can take their owners, or they can take blind from home to office, from office to home, without any error or without any mistake. They cross the road on zebra, and they cross the road when green lights lit, and they stop on the side of the road when the red light lit. Through training, they are punished when the red light lit and pass or cross the road, and they are rewarded when they pass the road if the green light lit. So by this way, these trained dogs, they can guide blind away from home and towards home. So this is an example of shaping, one of the result of operant conditioning. This is not the only example for shaping. The second one is training horses. If you see, these horses are circus horses. They have trained to perform different types of activities in the circus by operant conditioning. They are trained by operant conditioning. Dolphins are also another examples which are trained by operant conditioning to perform different types of activities in their performance in pools or in special events. To perform such kind of different activities, they are trained by a reward and punishment using operant conditioning, which is called shaping. The next are training of zoo animals. As you can see, there are elephants which are trained and performing in a stage. This is a lion which is performing a special type of performance in a stage. This is polar bear. It performs different types of activities, as you can see. This is also elephant performing circus tricks. There is also tiger here. Elephants. So zoo animals can be trained by operant learning to perform in a specific type of activities. So we can use operant conditioning for such kind of activities to train animals in a way that if they are punished, they will decrease to respond to a given stimuli. And if they are rewarded, they increase a response to a given stimuli. So by this way, we can shape the organisms to make different performances in stage. This is one of the useful aspects of operant conditioning. The second type of behavior or type of learned behavior that we are going to discuss today is hidden learning or latent learning. Latent learning is subconscious retention of information without reward or reinforcement. The response is seen when it is needed. Organisms, they put such kind of learning in their long-term memory. And if they need it when the response is needed, they bring out from the long-term memory and they perform it, or they respond it in when the time is when the response is needed. Such kind of learning is called latent learning, and this type of learning is proposed by Edward Tolman in 1938. On his research, Edward Tolman, he conducted a research in 3 groups of rats. The first group are rewarded every time they finish the maze, and these groups, they have learned more quickly, because when they pass or when they finish the maze, they will be rewarded. And group 2 only rewarded on the 10th day. That means the reward is too late. So they have demonstrated learning after they receive a reward. The third group of rats, they have never rewarded. Because they are never rewarded, they did not learn the maze well. So latent learning, it's a type of learning which is hidden or which is put in a subconscious mind or in a long-term memory of organisms, and if the response is needed, the organisms can bring it out very quickly, and if it is not needed, it will remain in the long-term memory. For example, Tolman's maze is such a kind of maze. There are 3 groups of rats, and this is the start to enter to the maze. They run into the maze in different directions. So the rats which first the maze or which finish the maze will be rewarded. So the rats which are rewarded more quickly, they finish the maze quickly, and the rats which are not rewarded in such a way will not finish the maze very quickly. So he performed, he conducted a research on a maze, which group of rats finish the maze or finish the problem quickly, and which of them are not learning to come out of the maze quickly. So by this way, some rats came out very quickly, some rats stayed a little bit, and some of them didn't learn well. So in latent learning, if the organisms are rewarded, they can use their hidden learning and respond it quickly, and organisms which are not rewarded are not performing it well. Such kind of learning is called latent learning. For example, a person is taught how to use a computer, but does not do so until he is given one as a gift. He can use a computer, but he didn't respond, he didn't perform it until he is given one computer as a gift. When the person is having a computer, he tried how to use it, because he have learned before when somebody using it. The second one is a dog is taught to sit, but doesn't do so until offered a treat as a reward. So when it is needed, organisms can show such kind of learning. If it is not needed, it will stay for a longer period of time. Such kind of learning is called latent learning. The third and the last type of learning that we are going to see today is insight learning. Insight learning is a type of learning which is finding a solution to a problem. Finding a solution to a problem that are not based on actual experience. A sudden problem-solving behavior of organisms is known as insight learning. The solution that appears almost out of nowhere in a condition called a eureka moment is insight learning. It is the highest form of learning, and it does not result from immediate trial and error. It is based on reasoning. Learning based on information previously learned by other individuals, behavioral activities is also called insight learning. It is based on thoughts and reasoning. So if a person or if an individual is exposed to a given type of problem, and if he finds out that problem is very complex, and if it takes time to think about it and solve it suddenly without any assistance by reasoning and previous thoughts, such kind of learning is called insight learning. Such kind of learning was first found by Wolfgang Kohler on his experiments on chimpanzee or chimp. He have conducted a research, and first he put the chimpanzee in an enclosed area, enclosure, and Kohler put desirable food or desirable fruits, which in this case is banana for chimpanzee, outside the enclosure, and found out they're rich. That means the chimpanzee should have to find out how to reach that banana. And he placed a variety of objects that could be useful to obtain inside the enclosure. He puts bamboos, he puts some boxes, and so on. So the chimp tried to reach the banana, but he couldn't. So using those boxes, the chimpanzee learned how to use the boxes to obtain bananas placed on the top of the enclosure. And by eureka moments, by sudden problem-solving moments, the chimpanzee dragged the boxes under the banana. He climbed over the boxes, and he reached the fruits by this way. This one is the chimpanzee. The chimp was put in an enclosure, and here is the banana. He tried to jump and reach to the banana, but he couldn't. He tried for several times, but he couldn't. And he observed objects around it. There are boxes here. There are 3 boxes here. So he sat for a moment. He think. Then suddenly he tries to collect those boxes, to drag those boxes towards the banana, and he puts one box over the other, and he climbed over the boxes, and he reached the banana. He have got the banana. So he have solved the problem. How to get the banana? By thinking. Such kind of learning, sudden problem solving type of learning is called insight learning. Nowadays, you can see different chimps which are found in the forest. They want to get food like ants or different types of insects. In order to have the food from the holes, they use different tools like sticks. They insert the sticks. When the ants are found on the sticks, they will pull out the sticks, and they feed the ants. So this is an example of insight learning. They solved their problem. They solved how to find out their food inside the burrow or inside the holes of the ants. So such kind of learning is called insight learning. This is also another way how to get a banana from. They use sticks in order to take the banana. Is it clear? Okay, today we have seen 3 types of learner behavior. We have seen operant learning, we have seen insight learning, and also we have seen latent learning. These are the 3 types of learner behaviors which are not common to all members of the species. When the organisms are faced to different learning conditions, they develop different types of learnings. So these are how organisms develop a new type of behavior, or how modifies the naturally occurring behavior. Okay, this is all about today's lesson. Until next time, goodbye. But stay home, stay safe.